So I have now been to placement 6 times, and this past week, my sixth time going to placement was kind of revealing, and a lot of things happened. So in our singing group, this week our task was for all of the kids to draw a picture of what is going on in either the chorus or one of the verses of the song we're doing, which is about Noah's Ark. So the plan was for the teacher and myself and the other helper from Western um, to be an example for the kids. So we were given 30 seconds. The kids counted down, and we were given this time to draw what was going on in the verse that we had been given. So I was curious going into this. Um, I've been thinking a lot about what my role is and how the kids perceive me and what kind of influence I have on the situation. And I think this was pretty telling. So what happened was we were given 30 seconds, and I noticed that a lot of the kids were watching me. And I was like, all right, they're seeing what I'm drawing. Because up till this point, when the other leader and myself taught our songs a few weeks ago, I still wasn't really sure if, how the kids saw us, like, and it's more of, or it's more than, just if they like us, which, it's good that if they do, but do they see me in a teaching role, or do they just see me as like an older friend, or, just a helper or whatever? So, but anyways, after I drew this picture and we showed it to everyone, there were a few kids that drew what we drew. There were a few kids that I saw, like I had drawn a 40 because my verse had to do with the 40 days and 40 nights of rain, and a lot of them drew the 40. And so I took this opportunity when the kids were, they were given like 10 to 15 minutes to draw. We went around and, as you do, you like ask the kids questions and see if they need any help and etc. Talk to them and encourage them and give them praise. And I was like, okay, here's my moment, because we talked about praise a few weeks ago, and asking like the difference between saying, oh, I really like that, or I like how you chose green there, or whatever, and forming it into like a reflective or a reflexive process for the learners. So asking, why did you choose that color? Oh, like, and not coming across as like, oh, that's interesting or whatever, like really being careful there. And I haven't really been able to do that too much yet. So I was like, this is my moment. So I really tried that. Like I did that maybe 3 or 4 times. I was, I would ask, oh, one kid had drawn an arc with red windows. So I asked, oh, why did you use the color red? And I'm, sometimes they answered with, I don't know, like, I just like the color red, or that's my favorite color, or whatever. And one kid drew, he had to draw a dove, or he didn't have to, but it was about the dove. And so he drew a dove, and I asked, why did you choose blue for the dove? And he said, because the dove in the story is blue. So he had noticed that and had made that connection. So I said, oh, wow, like that's that's great that you were that observant. So even still, that's still praise, and that's still, using, that's great, or that's awesome, or whatever. But I was a little more careful with how I came to that praise. I didn't just say, wow, that's great that you chose the color blue. Like we talked about it and we considered why he chose the color blue. So that was cool. That was cool. um, uh, there was also another moment in this class. There's one child who, I think kind of looks for attention for sure. And last week was a little bit rocky with this particular child. But this week they were telling me about how they play percussion in band. Sorry, I got cut off in my last video. Sorry, I was talking about this child who, is a percussionist, and they said, maybe next week I can show you what I do. And in my mind, I was like, oh, we're making a connection, and I'm being careful of not, like I'm kind of trying to figure out how to not deal with, but just interact with this child and children who, are kind of looking for that attention, because I want to, like, I'm not there to be their friend. Like, I'm supposed to be in more of a teacher role, so I'm trying to look at it that way. But I was encouraging of her, and I said, yeah, maybe next week we can ask if we can get our hands on a drum and you can show me what you can do. And so, I don't know. We'll see if that happens or not next week. And an update on band. Still, I'm trying to help as much as I can. Can't really talk too much during the class because the teacher, he does his thing, and that's great. So I've tried to kind of sit beside some kids who might need some help. I'm playing cornet, and if they lose their spot, I point to their note, etc. Things like that. Definitely a different dynamic. Like, there's not as much room for asking questions like, oh, why did you choose that note, or why did you choose to do it that way? Like, it's more like, okay, get your instrument up and let's play. So still continuing to explore that dynamic, but I'm really enjoying seeing the difference between the two, and even in age too, like how different like kids of different ages react to helpers. Like, I feel like in band I don't get as much attention. And it's because, like, there isn't really a lot of room for talking again. But yeah, I'm looking forward in my last 2 weeks, only 2 weeks left, seeing how I can have teaching moments in band. That's one of my goals, and continuing to ask those like thinking questions, or asking the kids to think through their learning processes in the singing class as well. So that's it.